Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live videos, and today I'm just be officially updating you on some more current transfer rumours and gossip. So these are lots to negotiate on this current video today as usual. I'm going to give you the latest news about Bruno Fernandes, also going to give you a bit more additional information about Harry Maguire, and also going to give you the latest news about Sean Longstaff. So the first topic level I'll start with is Bruno Fernandes. Now according to the Daily Mail, reportedly we have been handed a boost in our pursuit of Bruno Fernandes, as now Sporting Lisbon are closing on a replacement for the current player. Now it does report out that Manchester United have held more extensive talks with Sporting Lisbon this week, to get a deal finalised, of course, for Bruno Fernandes. I do believe earlier on this week as well that Manchester City have held talks with Sporting Lisbon, I think in regards to Bruno Fernandes. So we do know for the entirety this summer, Bruno Fernandes has been linked with a move to Manchester United, and he has been subjected to a lot of transfer speculation. I do believe that Sporting Lisbon value Bruno Fernandes at around £70 million. I do believe Manchester United are not determined to go anywhere near that figure, because I think we do want to get him for around £32 million. But I do believe Bruno Fernandes has notified his representatives that he wants to join Manchester United, so I think he has rejected Tottenham. He's also rejected Liverpool, because I do believe that Tottenham and Liverpool have also been in negotiations. Well, reflecting back, I think last week, Bruno Fernandes' agent was allegedly in UK to allegedly thrash out a deal with Manchester United and all that. According to what reports said the other week, according to the Portuguese press, he did say that Bruno Fernandes had allegedly agreed personal terms with Manchester United. It also said he'd agreed personal terms. It also said he had agreed a contract worth around 100 grand a week. So he did say Manchester United have reached an agreement with Sporting Lisbon. But obviously we do know that no fee has yet come to an agreement. The fee seems to be the stumbling block at the moment. So potentially I think the Sporting Lisbon president did confirm that he has been in talks with Bruno Fernandes about his future. I think the Sporting Lisbon president did say that Sporting Lisbon would accept somewhere in the region of around £53 million. So Sporting Lisbon definitely want over £50 million for the current player. But I do really like Bruno Fernandes a lot, and I think his preference is actually a move to Manchester United. And like I said, Bruno Fernandes did participate in that friendly a couple of days ago, even though reports did suggest out he was going to be pulled out of that friendly, potentially, over his potential move to Old Trafford. But I think Bruno Fernandes himself has been in negotiations with his agent, negotiating about a move to Manchester United and all that. So he has been widely spoken about throughout the course of this window. Like I did say, Bruno Fernandes' move is not dependent on what happens with Paul Pogba, because I think regardless of what happens with Paul Pogba, it's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer still orchestrating on adding reinforcements of course in that midfield and all that. And we have got to currently address that midfield, because you can still see the deficiencies in the squad and all that. But reflected back about 6 or 7 weeks ago, it was looking very likely that Manchester City were currently going to sign Bruno Fernandes and all that. But obviously, as it had confirmed, Manchester City would withdrawn their interest. I still believe Tottenham and Liverpool and that are in there for him. But I think we've been considered the favourites to sign Bruno Fernandes at least for the last 3 to 4 weeks. Obviously, he's still under contract with Sporting Lisbon until 2023. I think he did sign his 5-year contract last summer. His initial release clause is around £88 million. He has served a couple of years in Portugal with Sporting Lisbon, and to be fair, he has tied up in Portugal, and him coming to Manchester United, it's going to rejuvenate his career. And I do believe that Bruno Fernandes got all the attributes, to definitely succeed in the Premier League and all that. To definitely succeed in the Premier League. And I think him coming to Manchester United, like I said, he's going to rejuvenate the team. He's going to bring us them goals that we need in that midfield. He's going to have depth in that midfield. Only 24 years of age. Still got a hell of a lot of years ahead of him. And obviously, as you all know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has worked out his transfer strategy for this summer. Obviously, he wants to develop a squad of young, hungry, homegrown talents. And I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer believes he's following a policy, that proved successful under Alex Ferguson. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's policy is, of course, getting the pursuit of young players. But I don't think we are determined, to overspend on our transfer tags. And I think Manchester United have blatantly, made this clear. So we are trying to basically, get Bruno Fernandes for as lower fee as we possibly can. So it didn't literally say, want to pay around £32 million for his services. But like I said, he's been at Sporting. There's been a couple of seasons. Last season, scored 31 goals in all competitions. I think provided around 18 assists. So his stats are very, very impressive. Obviously, Bruno Fernandes spent the majority of his career in Italy when he was younger, you know, with the likes of Sanpandaria and underneath, and I think he also played for Novria, so I think he would be the right solution for Manchester United. And we've got to hurry up now in this transfer window. We've got to be more competitive, because I think now there's only 4 weeks remaining of this current window. Obviously, so far this summer, you know, we have got 2 players on the board, and we have spent around £65 million on Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka. But like I said, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to want to build on this, and you know, he's going to want to bring at least 2 or 3 more new additions to the squad. I do believe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's priorities now, you know, will be to recommend an experienced centre half in, and of course, we want to add reinforcements in that midfield. So I do believe now these are going to be Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's priorities. I think for the entirety of the window, though, so far, you know, we have been mainly focusing on the incomings, but I think the club have also got to orchestrate on selling players, you know, to help us generate funds and of course rebuild the squad and all that, because it did come out around 2 or 3 weeks ago saying that we've only been allegedly given £100 million to spend, and obviously, you know, £100 million is nowhere near enough, you know, for us to address the deficiencies in the squad. Obviously, it isn't enough for us, you know, to bring a number of players there that we do want in, but Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, of course, you know, wants to build a squad, you know, worthy of the club's history. But I think we are moving away from the policy of signing them well established players. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to recommend young players to Manchester United and all that. I do know it's going to be hard for us, you know, to attract players to elite level, because obviously, you know, we're not in Champions League football, you know, going on into this season, and obviously, you know, it's going to also be hard for us to convince our imperative players to stay at the football club, because we're not in a Champions League football for next season. But like I said, you know, what players now are going to come in, you know, what players, of course, are going to leave, because obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is hopefully, you know, that I can get Manchester United, you know, back to glory and get us back, you know, to being a competitive elite level football club and all that. But like I said, there has been so many players on our current agenda, so we have got to be now more competitive, of course, in this summer transfer window. So hopefully, you know, we can get a deal concluded for Bruno Fernandes. We're now being given a boost in our pursuit, because obviously, you know, Bruno Fernandes, Sporting Lisbon are closing in on a deal, a replacement for the current player and all that. So hopefully we can get a deal fully finalised for Bruno Fernandes. But I do believe he would be a good, adequate replacement for Paul Pogba, because it is looking very likely that Paul Pogba is going to be leaving the football club. But like I said, since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival, obviously, you know, we've seen Antonio Valencia leave the club. Obviously, you know, he left after, you know, serving 10 years there with Manchester United, and obviously we did get our replacement in for him. We got Wan-Bissaka, and I do believe Wan-Bissaka is going to be a great signing there for, well, he's a good signing for Manchester United, and obviously, you know, he's going to be our first choice, you know, right back, you know, going on into this season. I do believe Wan-Bissaka's defensive capabilities are good, and I do believe he's got all the ingredients required, you know, to become a huge success at Manchester United and Wan-Bissaka, and then, you know, I think he'll do really, really well. He'll exceed expectation levels and all that. Obviously, you know, he's our 5th most expensive signing, so we did get the replacement for Antonio Valencia. Obviously, Ander Herrera left on a free transfer, so obviously it's very essential that we do get a replacement for him. Obviously, Fellaini left back in the January transfer window, so we do need to, you know, get some new additions in that midfield. I think we also need to sell Darmian, we also need to sell Rojo, because both players have endured difficult times at the club, and I think we can generate around, 25 or 30 million pounds for the departures of Martial Darmian and Marcus Rojo. And I think, you know, Sanchez needs to go, but I'm sceptical about Sanchez leaving, because I think the club are finding it very difficult to offload him, you know, reflecting on his substantial wages. Pogba and Lukaku, I probably believe that we need to currently sell them, even Ole Gunnar Solskjaer doesn't want to sell them, because obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer knows how imperative, you know, how imperative, you know, that Paul Pogba is and Lukaku is. But I think if we can sell them, I think it will help us with our rebuilding process. Of course, it'll also help us with our transition. And obviously, analysing it, Paul Pogba and Lukaku are our 2 most expensive signings, and they're both in the prime. And, you know, I think we can generate around, £200 million for their departures. So, you know, Pogba's been relentlessly linked to a move away from the club. Lukaku's been relentlessly, you know, linked to a move away from the club. So, like I said, there's still lots to currently address in the squad. But, you know, we have been playing catch-up for the last 5 or 6 years, and we have been a toxic club. But the main factor reason why we've been a toxic club, because obviously we've been mismanaged. This is the main factor reason, of course, why we have been underachieving. You know, a hell of a lot of money has been invested into the club, you know, since Ferguson retired. You know, we've had different managers with different philosophies. You know, players have come in, and of course players have gone. But we have got a history of spending big on players anyway, you know, especially in recent years. You know, Lukaku, 75 million, of course Paul Pogba, not 89 million pounds. So hopefully Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you know, can take Manchester United forward and all that. But yeah, it's obviously we've made it clear that we're not willing to overspend on our current transfer target. So anyway, that's the latest news about Bruno Fernandes. Give you a bit additional information now about Sean Longstaff. I give you an update about Sean Longstaff. Didn't I yesterday? It obviously came out from Sky Sports. Was it a day or two ago? They were saying that Manchester United have held high-level talks with Newcastle about Sean Longstaff. It does say Manchester United have not put any official bidding as yet, but it does say Manchester United have been in high-level talks with Newcastle and all that, because obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer instructed Manchester United to get to prioritise a transfer for Sean Longstaff, because obviously it said Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was keen on recommending him to the football club. But now I do believe we are set to we are set to withdraw our interest now in Sean Longstaff. We're going to withdraw our interest now, reflecting on the extortionate amount that Newcastle are demanding, because Newcastle have indicated that it's not for sale, and now reportedly Newcastle want around £50 million, and I do believe Manchester United are reluctant to pay this figure for him. I think we only initially value him from between 18 to £20 million, and basically Newcastle are asking for more than double that. So basically Newcastle don't want to sell Sean Longstaff, because he believes is part of their plans for their future and all that. So I do believe now Manchester United are going to withdraw their interest in the player. I thought we'd initially been given a boost in our pursuit of the player, following Rafa Benitez's departure from Newcastle and all that. Obviously Newcastle lost Rafa Benitez. They also lost Perez, so I think they are reluctant to offload Sean Longstaff. He did initially say we was preparing to put a bid in for him of around £30 million. Obviously this is too insufficient for Newcastle, because they blatantly made it clear, they want somewhere in the region around £50 million and all that. But I think Manchester United, of course, are going to be reluctant to pay this. So Newcastle are demanding the same figure of what we paid for Wan-Bissaka. They're also demanding the same figure of what we paid for Fred last summer. And looking at Fred, he hasn't done really much at Manchester United. He was a fundamental player at Shakhtar Donetsk, but he hasn't really replicated this at Manchester United. And I am very sceptical about Fred, and I don't know if he's the long-term solution for Manchester United. But Sean Longstaff is definitely not worth £50 million. I think maybe in this market, this day and age, probably maybe 25 million or 30 million at the top term is acceptable. But I did say over that mark for Sean Longstaff, I think Newcastle are basically asking for too much. And he's got a bit of experience under his belt, but not too much. He only broke into Newcastle senior squad in December of last year. Of course, that's when he made his senior debut. Obviously, he did get handed a new contract, I think, reflecting on his impressive performances, and he's under contract with Newcastle until 2022. I think he played around 13 games under Rafa Benitez's guidance last season. He did thrive under Rafa Benitez's guidance and all that. But yeah, I still believe that Sean Longstaff is recovering from knee ligament injury. Obviously, he had sustained this knee ligament injury back in March, so he didn't play the last couple of months of last season due to this injury he had sustained. He initially began his career with Newcastle. Obviously, he also had loan spells with Kilmarnock and Blackpool, but Manchester United have been in for him, for quite some time. But now, based on what Newcastle are demanding, I do believe now, we are going to withdraw our interest in the current player. I think he's primarily a central midfielder, mainly box to box, only 21 years of age. He's also British, and obviously there's been quite a lot of British players on our agenda, because obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to recruit British talent to Manchester United this summer. But it says Manchester United have been in negotiations, but Newcastle now reportedly want around £50 million. So I do believe now we are currently going to end our interest in the player. So I do believe we're going to end our interest now in the player. I want to give you a bit more additional information about Harry Maguire from Leicester. Now, I do believe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has identified him as his number one defensive target. Obviously, I do believe now what's happened, with Sean Longstaff. I think we are now prioritised, to sign Harry Maguire, and we are also prioritised to sell Romelu Lukaku. Now, the situation with Harry Maguire, Leicester have said, they want somewhere in the region of around £85 million. Leicester do believe that Manchester United will pay what they're currently demanding. I think we want to get him for around £75 million, which is obviously the same amount as what Liverpool paid for Virgil van Dijk in January of last year. Obviously Sky Sports reported out last week, I think it was, obviously Manchester United put a £70 million bid in for him. Obviously this was too insufficient for Leicester, so obviously Leicester had currently turned this down. I think we also offered £70 million, plus we offered Rojo as part of the deal, but Leicester of course are only interested interested in a straight cash deal. But we've definitely not got to get a central defender in, and we need someone that can partner alongside Victor Lindelof in our back line, someone that can complement Victor Lindelof in our back line. So that's very, very essential. Some people have said, it's actually, some people have said, the midfield and the right wing is more essential than recommending essential defence coming. But we've got issues defensively. That was proven last season, because last season we conceded 54 goals in the Premier League in 38 Premier League games. Obviously, our highest total, of course, I think in 40 years. So that just proves the deficiencies, of course, we've got defensively, and we need to see vast improvements going on into this season, because last season was disappointing. We finished sixth. We missed out on the Champions League, so we need to get the right players in there to Manchester United this summer that can, of course, can elevate the club forward. And I do believe Harry Maguire, would be the right solution and all that. I was reading reports about last week, and it did say Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had asked the British players in our squad, about their thoughts about Harry Maguire, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, did get positive remarks and all that. I think Mike Phelan, the assistant, has instructed Manchester United to get a deal over the line for him as well. Obviously, Mike Phelan had a short tenure at Hull, where he did manage, Harry Maguire. So Harry Maguire has played under Mike Phelan's guidance, so maybe Mike Phelan is keen on reuniting with the current player. But it has been mainly Manchester United and Manchester City that have been battling it out for Harry Maguire's services. Obviously, reflected back a couple of weeks ago, it was looking like the Manchester City were going to get a deal concluded for him, because I do believe his preference was a move to Manchester City, because obviously Harry Maguire was keen on playing under Pep Guardiola's guidance. You can understand why I wanted to make the move to Manchester City, because obviously City are the dominant force in England at the moment. Obviously, they won domestic treble last season, and obviously they're in Champions League football and all that. Obviously, City have seen Harry Maguire as their number one target, to replace Vincent Kompany and all that. And obviously, it's confirmed from Sky that both Manchester clubs have been in talks with Leicester for several weeks, but obviously no deal or no fees yet come to an agreement. But now obviously Manchester City have withdrawn their interest, because obviously City are not willing to pay what Leicester are demanding. I think City at the tops are willing to only pay around £60 million for his current services. But I do really like Harry Maguire a lot. He's only 26 years of age. He's obviously British. He's still got a hell of a lot of years ahead of him. But obviously he's indicated out like he wants to go to one of the big clubs, obviously to rejuvenate his career and of course take his footballing career to the next level. Looking at ultimately, Leicester don't want to sell Harry Maguire. This is the main factor reason why they've priced him out of the transfer market. This is why of course they are demanding an extortionate amount, because basically they don't want to sell him, because Leicester know how much of an imperative player he is. But I think him coming to Manchester United, he will improve his defensively. He's good in the air. He shows that ability to play out from the back. His tenacity is good. His work ethic's good. Like I said, very good in the air. I don't think he's that fast, Harry Maguire, but I don't think that's a current issue. But analysing it, we have that central defensive area has been a problem for quite some time, because we haven't had a world-class central defender, since we had the likes of Vidic, and of course since we had the likes of Fernandes. But like I said, I still believe Manchester United are in talks with Leicester over getting a deal concluded. But Harry Maguire served a couple of years with Leicester, and I think he has exceeded expectation levels. He's made 76 appearances in all competitions. Obviously, Leicester did get him from Hull City for around £17 million back in 2017. So looking at it from a financial point of view, Leicester will make a huge profit on the player. Obviously, he signed a new long-term contract with Leicester last summer, so he's under contract with them until 2023 and all that. So yeah, very, very good player. And I do believe he's regarded as one of the best centre-halves in the Premier League. I won't put him in Virgil van Dijk's calibre or level, but I still think he's a very, very good central defender. But like I said, Harry Maguire's been relentlessly linked to a move to Manchester United since last summer, because obviously, reflecting back last summer, our priority, was to recommend a central defender to come in. And obviously, we didn't get his number one targets last summer, because obviously, the board weren't backing the signings that Jose Mourinho, wanted to recommend to come in. The board weren't backing the signs that Jose Mourinho wanted to recommend to come in. And obviously, one of the players that Jose Mourinho wanted, of course, was Harry Maguire. But I think Leicester were demanding that they wanted around £70 million last summer and all that. But I think last summer, we were prepared to spend up to £100 million on a centre half on all that, because there's been so many central defenders on our agenda. But I do believe now we're not willing to overspend on our transfer tax, and I think we are going to be sensible with our recruitment this summer. And quite a few people said we should be sensible with our recruitment this summer. But I do believe now Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has identified Harry Maguire as his number one defensive target. But like I said, there's been so many other central defenders on our current agenda. Obviously, Matty de Ligt was one of our main priority targets, but I think Matty de Ligt's out of the equation because I think he's going to be going to Juventus. Obviously, there was a lot of talks about Raphael Varane at one point. I always said there wasn't a lot of credibility in Raphael Varane coming to Manchester United, and I think we were prepared to pay around £100 million for Raphael Varane. Obviously, that's what it would have taken if he was for sale and all that, but I don't think he was ever for sale, Raphael Varane, at the time, because obviously Real Madrid were reluctant to offload him. There was talks going on a while back saying that he could leave Real Madrid this summer and all that, but he did get confirmed quite some time back now. He's committing his future with Real Madrid. He wants to stay with them at least for one more season. Obviously, there's still talks about, West Ham's Issy Diop and that, going on. Obviously, I think Koulibaly is now out of the equation because Napoli are reluctant to offload him. So, I do believe, Harry Maguire, would be the right solution for Manchester United. So, hopefully, we can get a deal over the line for him. But I didn't actually say, was it last week, that I was hopeful Manchester United could get 2 signings on the board, before we did go on pre-season tour. And I think even from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's perspective, he did say he wanted to get at least one more signing on the board before we do go on pre-season tour. But we've got to hurry up in this window now. There's only, like I said, there's only currently 4 weeks left. I think Arsenal have done some business this summer. I think they've got Kieran Tierney, or are on the verge of getting Kieran Tierney. I think they've also got who was the other player they got now? They got someone else in. They got Kieran Tierney. I think they got someone else in, but I can't currently remember his name. But I think Arsenal have got around 2 or 3 players in so far this summer. I still believe Arsenal are in there for Wilfried Zaha, but they've got a tight budget. Arsenal, they've only got around 40 or 45 million pounds to spend. Obviously, Chelsea can't do any transfer activity in the next couple of windows because obviously they have got a transfer ban. Man City have not spent any money yet this summer. Liverpool, I don't think, as far as I know, haven't spent all this summer. But looking at Ultimate, Liverpool don't really need to spend now because Liverpool have addressed the deficiencies in the squad. They've invested well in the last couple of seasons. But analysing it, City and Liverpool looking at still strides ahead of us at the moment. And, it's very imperative, that we'll catch up over the likes of Manchester City and Liverpool. But I believe our expectations going on to this season probably will be to finish in the top 5. I don't think it will be to win the league. I don't think it will be as a challenger for the league because I think, we have at least a couple of years off doing this, but it's going to take us at least a couple of years, to get us back to that, level, where we do want to be. And it's going to take us a couple of windows, to get the right players in and all that. I don't think we're going to be able to address it all in one window, and that's something you guys should all know. But like I said, with Harry Maguire, I think it would be a fantastic sign there for Manchester United. So there's been other midfielders on our current agenda. I have been giving you an update on. Obviously, as it has been coming out, it's been coming out quite a lot since the weekend. I think about Milinkovic Savic from Lazio. Sky in Italy, this was reported in Sky Sports, I think, yesterday, saying that reportedly Manchester United are preparing to put around the £72 million bidding for the player. This could be too insufficient for Lazio because I think the actual player is intending on maybe spending at least another season with Lazio. And I think, Lazio president confirmed, they want around £90 million for him. Obviously, Milinkovic Savic has been relentlessly, linked with a move to Manchester United because I think reflecting back last summer, Manchester United, of course, were in for him. But I think they were demanding around £120 million last summer, Lazio, if I'm right. I think Milinkovic is Savic's agent, travelled to the UK at the weekend, and I do believe, he has held talks with Manchester United. So it did reportly say we've identified Milinkovic Savic as our number 1 target to replace Paul Pogba, but I think we're only willing to get a deal finalised for Milinkovic Savic. Sorry if his names are hard to pronounce. I think we're willing to get a deal finalised for him, of course, if Paul Pogba leaves the football club. So Milinkovic Savic's move to Manchester United is dependent on, of course, what happens with Paul Pogba. He's 24 years of age. He's Serbian. I think he's primarily a central midfielder, but I do believe he's technically a good footballer. His tenacity is really, really good. I think his work ethics and that's really, really good. And technically, just a very, very good footballer. He's been at Lazio 4 years, so he's had a lot of experience under his belt in Italy. I think he scored 31 goals in 138 games for Lazio. He signed a new deal last October, so he's on the contract with Lazio until 2023. I think quite a few other teams have inquired about his services, but I do believe Manchester United have been in talks with Lazio over coming to an agreement on a fee. So Lazio want around £90 million, but he did say Manchester United were preparing to put put around £72 million bidding for him. So maybe there is some credibility in Milinkovic-Savic, you know, coming out to Manchester United. I think he probably would improve in that midfield, because he has proven in his 4 years, well, as you know, like, he can score goals, he can create chances, he can also provide assists. You know, he has been underperforming. He's been inconsistent for the last 5 or 6 months. But, you know, do you believe he would be the right solution for Manchester United? I think there's a lot more. I think there's a lot of credibility. There's more credibility in Savic coming to Manchester United than there is Mario Lemina. With Mario Lemina, I know there's been a lot of talks going on about Mario Lemina, at least in the last 3 to 4 days. But I don't believe there's a lot of credibility in him, you know, coming here to Manchester United. I might be proven wrong, but I just don't think Mario Lemina is the right type signing for Manchester United. I think he's more of an Arsenal type signing, if you get what I mean. Obviously, you know, Manchester United, Arsenal, and also Leicester have expressed an interest in the player, because Mario Lemina has informed Ralph Hasenhüttl, you know, that he does currently want to, you know, leave Southampton, because he's currently playing for Southampton at the moment. He's been at Southampton 2 years. I think he's made 46 appearances in the Premier League. He's made 52 appearances in all competitions. But I think he's been mainly out of favour with Southampton, you know, reflecting on the injuries he has sustained, you know, especially last season. But anyway, he's indicated out he wants to leave Southampton. He's obviously indicated out, though, he still wants to continue playing his trade in England, so he wants to stay in England. But he's indicated out like he wants to go to a big club, Mario Lemina, you know, to rejuvenate his career and, of course, take his footballing career to the next level. I do believe that Mario Lemina had been given permission by Southampton, you know, to negotiate with other clubs. And obviously, you know, Manchester United have held talks, I do believe, with Mario Lemina over a possible move to Old Trafford this summer. But he's 25 years of age. He's a Gabonese international. Obviously, he's primarily a central midfielder, so mainly a box-to-box midfielder. But his versatility is very, very good, because he has played in various other positions. I think when he was younger. I think if I'm right, he played as a winner when he was younger. I think he also played as a fullback. He also played as a wing-back, and I think he also played as a centre-half. So, you know, he's versatility, and that's really, really good. These players. He has still got 3 years left on his contract with Southampton. I do believe Southampton, you know, would want to recoup the initial £18 million that they did pay for him from Juventus a couple of years ago. So that is a reasonable figure. Is £18 million. Obviously, began his career in France, you know, with Lorient. I think he also had a couple of years with Marcelo, then went and had a couple of years in Turin with Juventus. And I do believe Mario Lemina has played alongside Paul Pogba, but I just don't think he would be the right time signing for Manchester United. But yeah, I think definitely, you know, Southampton are open to currently selling the player and all that. So who should, you know, replace Paul Pogba at the football club? Now, news about Paul Pogba. News about Paul Pogba, I'm going to give you an absolute update on. So we do know Paul Pogba has been relentlessly, you know, linked to a move away from Manchester United. And, you know, I'm reading some reports yesterday, you know, it might be just, this could be just allegedly, saying that reportedly, you know, Paul Pogba, you know, could, you know, stay at Manchester United. You know, he could end up staying at the club, and he could end up, you know, signing a new contract and all that. I don't believe there's a lot of credibility in that, because I think Paul Pogba's blatantly made it clear, you know, that he does want to leave Manchester United. Obviously, this got confirmed last month. You know, he basically said, well, they suggested that last month, saying that Paul Pogba is seeking for a new challenge. Obviously, he publicly admitted that he wants to leave Manchester United for the first time, and he even did say last month that he was even willing to go on strike, you know, to force a move away from Manchester United. So he is determined to leave the club. Obviously, we do know Paul Pogba has gone on pre-season tour with the rest of the Manchester United squad. Obviously, Paul Pogba was absent from pre-season training last week, so obviously, you know, that added more speculation in regards to his, speculation in regards to his long-term future. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has held a negotiation with Paul Pogba in regards to his long-term future, but like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did confirm in his press conference the other day, he has spoken to the vast majority of our players throughout the course of the summer. You know, he's spoken to Lukaku, he's spoken to Lingard, he's spoken to Pogba and all that. And, you know, through that press conference, you know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did praise Paul Pogba, and he still believes he's the right solution for Manchester United. He said he's got the heart of gold. He says he has no problem with Paul Pogba, and he said he's a great professional. So, you know, he was giving good remarks about Paul Pogba, because let's be honest, in that press conference, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was peppered with questions about Pogba. He was also asked, you know, questions about, you know, the quotes of what his agent Mini Raiola, you know, came out there with last week, because obviously Paul Pogba's agent Mini Raiola did say last week, it was last Friday actually, I think it was, that Paul Pogba is processing, you know, leaving the club and all that. So I think Solskjaer, you know, really did well in his press conference, but I think Solskjaer still believes he can try and convince Paul Pogba to remain
at the football club. He did admit that he tried to offer Paul Pogba the vice captaincy, again to try and convince him to remain at the football club. But I think the couple of main factor reasons why Paul Pogba wants to leave, because maybe he wants to be playing amongst better players and he isn't playing amongst good enough players at Manchester United. Maybe he wants to be in Champions League football. Maybe he wants to be competing and winning silverware. And of course, he isn't experiencing any of this at Manchester United. So maybe he's frustrated with the lack of competitiveness, and probably Paul Pogba wants to currently rejuvenate his career. But yeah, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has held talks with Paul Pogba. But like I said, he's been relentlessly linked to a move to Real Madrid. He's been heavily linked to a move to Juventus. I do believe for quite some time that Paul Pogba's first choice preference has been Real Madrid. And I think his likely destination, of course, has been Real Madrid, because he's keen on playing under Zinedine Zidane's guidance and all that. Obviously, Juventus have stepped their interest up in the last couple of weeks. But I think it's initially in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's plans, to actually build a side around Paul Pogba. And we've actually indicated now that Paul Pogba's not for sale. He did say, would accept a bid in the region of around £150 million. Obviously, this is a figure that Real Madrid are not willing to pay. Obviously, Juventus won't be able to afford him outright. So I think, based on the huge, the huge fees we've put on Pogba and Lukaku, that's the stumbling block at the moment of Pogba making his proposed move to Madrid or Juventus, and Lukaku, of course, making his proposed move to Juventus. That seems to be the stumbling block at the moment, based on the huge fee we have put on the duo. But like I said, with Juventus, they're doing good business in this window. I think they're on the verge of getting delayed. They've got Rabiot in, they've got Aaron Ramsey in, they've got Ronaldo last summer did Juventus. So probably more than likely, Juventus would have to offload a couple of their essential players to fund the move for Paul Pogba. The Juventus director was recently talking about, of how much Juventus love him, because he did have 4 good years in chairing. Did Paul Pogba hasn't really replicated this since he did make the return to Manchester United. But even though he hasn't been, the player as we all thought he would have been, Pogba, and he hasn't lived up to expectations, I still think in this market at this day and age he's worth somewhere in the region of around 140 or 150 million pounds, because he's 26 and he has still got a lot of years ahead of him. But Juventus have held negotiations with his agent Mini Raiola, but Paul Pogba's agent Mini Raiola has been working on trying to find Paul Pogba a new club at least for the last couple of months. But like I said, I think, his preferred destination is Real Madrid. Obviously, Real Madrid themselves so far this summer have got 5 players on the board. They've spent just over £300 million pounds and all that. Obviously, like I said, Real Madrid are not keen on a straight cash payment. So I do believe Real Madrid are desperate to include Gareth Bale in their bid to sign Paul Pogba. Whether Manchester United will be willing to go along with this or not, I do not know. Reports actually came out last week saying that Real Madrid were willing to offer £72 million. Plus, they was willing to give us the choice between Bale or Isco in exchange for Paul Pogba. But obviously, we didn't entertain this offer. So basically, Manchester United turned this offer down. So if Pogba goes to Real Madrid, Bale could be still part of the deal, even though Bale's agent recently came out and suggested out that Bale has got no intentions, of course, of leaving Real Madrid. And we do know Gareth Bale has obviously been relentlessly linked to a move to Manchester United since 2012, 2013, and the rumours have continued to persist since then. But with Bale, I've got strong reservations. But if you've asked me a couple of years ago, I probably would have took Gareth Bale at Manchester United and all that. Obviously, Real Madrid did confirm at the end of last season. Zinedine Zidane confirmed it that Bale's has no future at Real Madrid. He's no longer part of his plans with Real Madrid. Bale's still got 3 years left on his contract with Real Madrid. But I've got too many reservations. But I'm aging up. I think he's 30 or he's nearly 30. Too injury prone. But despite the fact that he's injury prone, his ratio's still very, very good and all that. And he has scored a lot of goals for Real Madrid. And he has been at Real Madrid 6 years. But Real Madrid desperately want to offload him. But Real Madrid, I think, are willing to offload a couple of their players, to help them generate funds, to meet that £150 million valuation. So they're willing to offload Bale. I think they're also willing to offload James Rodriguez. There's been speculation about Isco going on. So they may have to offload a couple of their midfielders anywhere, Madrid, to make room for Paul Pogba. But Paul Pogba, like I said, has still got 2 years left in his contract with Manchester United with an option to extend it by a further year. He's our most expensive player. He's also one of the highest paid players at the club, because he is on around 290 grand a week. Came out the other week saying that we was willing to offer Paul Pogba a long-term contract, worth up to around 500 grand a week again, to try and convince him to remain at the football club. But like I said, last season Paul Pogba made 47 appearances in all competitions. He scored 16 goals, providing 11 assists. So his stats were very impressive last season. And since he rejoined the club in 2016, obviously he scored 31 goals in 135 games. He's won the Europa League and the League Cup with us. Obviously that came in his second season with Manchester United and all that. And Paul Pogba's been subject to a lot of transfer speculation, especially last year under the Jose Mourinho era. He was subject to a lot of transfer speculation, reflecting on his bad relationship he had there with Jose Mourinho. There was talks about him going to Juventus last year. There was also talks about him going to Barcelona in January. But yeah, he has been widely spoken about throughout the course of this window. But I do believe he's going to be leaving the football club. And obviously, Manchester United, of course, are going to have to get a replacement in for him. But with Lukaku, as I've been updating you regularly about Romelu Lukaku, did confirm yesterday, that Lukaku had missed training, following, his... He did miss training yesterday, did Romelu Lukaku. Obviously, there is a lot of speculation going on about Lukaku, because obviously we do know that he has been relentlessly linked with move to Inter Milan and all that as Romelu Lukaku. Obviously, reports did come out a couple of days ago. Basically saying that Lukaku has been he's unhappy the way that he's being treated for the last 6 months by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because obviously we do know since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got recommended in, we do know Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first choice preference has been Marcus Rashford ahead of Romelu Lukaku and all that, and Lukaku is reluctant to play up a backup role to Marcus Rashford. But it did confirm, reports did indicate out early on this week that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did he held talks with Romelu Lukaku, pleading him to stay at Manchester United for one more season, because he did say that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wanted Lukaku to remain at the football club for one more season, even though he's initially lost his place in the team. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer still knows how much of an imperative player and that he is. But he did confirm yesterday that the Inter Milan director had travelled to London. He had travelled to London to hold negotiations with Manchester United to thrash out a deal for Romelu Lukaku. Talks have been ongoing for several weeks between Inter Milan and Manchester United. There's also been, obviously, Lukaku's agent has been in talks with Inter Milan and all that. But I think the actual fee seems to be the stumbling block at the moment, with him going to Inter Milan, because obviously, we said we want 75 or 80 million pounds. So basically, we're looking to recoup the money that we did pay for him from Everton a couple of years ago, because Lukaku is our second most expensive signing, because we did pay around 75 million pounds for his services. So I think Inter Milan are trying to offload a couple of their players to help them generate funds to meet that 75 or 80 million pound valuation. But for the entirety of this window, Lukaku has been speaking about a move to Inter Milan. Obviously, Lukaku's agent had given us an update the other week, Federico Pastorella, and he basically said that Inter Milan are desperate to sign him. He said Inter Milan are desperate to sign him, but he's classified the move as complicated, based on the huge fee, that we have currently put on Romelu Lukaku and all that. Well, for the entirety of the window, he has been linked with move to Inter Milan. But yeah, talks have been ongoing, like I said, for several weeks. Obviously, Inter Milan, well, reportedly came out yesterday that Inter Milan are reportedly willing to make a 2-year loan offer for Romelu Lukaku. I think this 2-year loan offer is worth around £63 million. I think it also includes an obligation to buy and all that. So it includes an obligation to buy. So I think it's Inter Milan are willing to pay around a £9 million loan fee, with further payments of then £27 million in June of next year, and then a further £27 million in June of 2021. So that amounts up to around £63 million. But obviously, more than likely, Manchester United will not entertain this offer, because obviously, we're only willing to let Lukaku go on a permanent deal. So we've basically said to Inter Milan, you have to pay £75 million, or Lukaku basically isn't currently getting sold and all that, but they're struggling to generate funds to meet that £75 million valuation at the moment. We do know Lukaku has still got 3 years left on his contract with Manchester United and all that. Obviously, he has been at the club 2 years. He has scored 42 goals in 96 games for the club in all competitions. Lukaku was exceptional in his first season with Manchester United, but didn't really replicate this form, of course, in his second season. And like I said, I've got strong reservations about him. But I think overall his ratio is good in the Premier League. His pedigree, and that's really, really good in the Premier League. And he is well Premier League proven. But we have said we want 75 or 80 million pounds, so we're looking to recoup the money that we did, pay for him a couple of years ago. And obviously, if Lukaku does leave the football club, obviously, we are currently, going to need replacement for him. But he has confirmed that he does basically, want to leave Manchester United. United, because obviously now he is served his 2 requirements of the club. Obviously, we're unwilling to accept swap deals that Inter Milan have offered us, because obviously Inter Milan have tried offering us Mario Icardi as part of the deal for Lukaku. They've also tried offering us Ivan Perisic as part of the deal for Romelu Lukaku. But again, Manchester United are not willing to go along with this. So that's the latest news about that. I did say it was a problem. Well, it was a problem with Manchester United. We did let far too many players' contracts run down. Obviously, that was another current issue. But I think we've resolved that issue now. We have resolved that problem. Obviously, we saw last week, or was it early on this week, Andres Pereira and Alex Tuanzebe got new deals. Rashford got a new long-term contract last week, which is very, very good. Obviously, Juan Mata signed a new contract a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, we do know that David De Gea is on the verge of signing a new contract. I don't think he's signed it yet, but I think he's on the verge, because Solskjaer did say in his press conference. He did say in his press conference that he's very, very confident that David De Gea will currently sign a new deal. Very, very happy about this. Very, very happy about this and all. I think reportedly David De Gea has agreed around a £350,000 a week contract term and all that. And I think he's set to sign a 5-year contract, so that will probably take him to the age of 33 or the age of 34. So he's willing to commit his long-term future in Manchester United. And De Gea has been here 8 years. He's been a good servant to the club. We do know there's been a lot of speculation about him, leaving Manchester United, for quite some time now, especially this summer. Obviously, he was close to joining Real Madrid back in 2015, but due to the fax machine, of course, the deal never materialised. Obviously, he had been linked to a £60 million move to PSG and all that. And, we have been in negotiations trying to get David De Gea a new contract for the last 18 or 19 months. But for a long, long time, the club were not willing to meet his £350,000 a week wage demands. He was currently demanding. We've allegedly had £300,000 a week on the table for David De Gea since the turn of the year. But obviously, this is £50,000 less than what, he's currently demanding. But there was breakthrough in negotiations between David De Gea's agent George Mendes and the club and all that, so we are willing to pay him £350,000 a week. So now David De Gea is going to be staying with the football club, which is very, very good news. At one point, it was looking very imminent he was going to be leaving, but obviously now there has been a change of scenery. But like I said, we've been in negotiations for a long time. He was making costly mistakes towards the back end of last season, but I think that was mainly to do with the contractual situation. But we do know how imperative that David De Gea is. Obviously, Martial as well signed a 5-year deal back in January. Also, Smalling Jones got new long-term contracts last season, which was a bad mistake for Manchester United. Young got a new 1-year extension last season. McTominay signed a new long-term contract. But yeah, we have given quite a lot of players, new contracts and all that. But like I said, we've still got, we've got a lot of aging up players in our squad. But there's quite a few young upcoming players. Mason Greenwood, he's one of them. Obviously, the good news about Mason Greenwood is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, did mention him in his press conference, and he did say he's going to be, promoted into the first team. He's going to be assured more playing time this season. Is Mason Greenwood, which is very, very good. Was impressive in the reserves of Manchester United. Diego Dalot, again, who we only got last summer from Porto. He's obviously the upcoming future. Obviously, he played pretty well towards the back end of last season. To be fair to Diego Dalot, he can play. I think he's predominantly a right back, but can also play as a winger. Did play quite a few times last season, did Diego Dalot. But like I said, he's the upcoming future and all that. So we have got quite a few young players. But like I said. Solskjaer did say, there has been, throughout this summer, there has been a lot of talks and speculations about, many of our players, both in and out and all that. And he says basically don't have to sell players. According to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he said we don't have any bids for our players as yet, as he's basically said. But he says the club also, don't need to currently overspend on getting players in and all that, because probably that's not in our structure this current present time. But like I said, I think Daniel James will probably deliver the goods for Manchester United. He will get given the opportunity. I don't know if he's if he's going to be assured, to get into the first team, if into the first team, straight away, or get first team football week in, week out. I'm not too sure about that, but either way, Daniel James, will get his opportunity. And Wan-Bissaka is definitely going to be our first choice right back going on into this season, which is very, very good. But like I said, with Bruno Fernandes, he comes to Manchester United, he's going to be obviously, definitely, sure to get straight into the first team. Obviously, he's got that experience and all that. And even with Sean Longstaff, even if he was to come to Manchester United, him again, I've got similar sort of thoughts with Sean Longstaff as I've got with Daniel James. He probably wouldn't be assured to get straight into the first team, Sean Longstaff. But I do believe we've now withdrawn our interest because Newcastle said, they want £50 million. Manchester United won't pay £50 million for his current services. But yeah, that's mainly everything to update with. So looking at ultimately, I think the third signing could be this summer, Harry Maguire. And I think now we have Manchester United have prioritised to get him signed and all that. So we want to get this deal over the line for this player. And I do believe probably Manchester United will pay what Leicester are currently demanding. But I think we're trying to get him for £75 million. This is obviously the same amount as what Liverpool paid for Virgil van Dijk in January of last year. But yeah, that's mainly everything to update you. So the main part of this video was to give you the news about Bruno Fernandes. We've now been given a boost in our pursuit with the player because Bruno Fernandes, Sporting Lisbon, are closing in on a replacement for Bruno Fernandes, and all that, can't pronounce the player's name. He's valued at around £70 million, but I think maybe Sporting Lisbon will consider offloading him for £50 million. So they definitely want over £50 million for him. Yeah, so I do believe, I'm still very convinced we can get this deal over the line for Bruno Fernandes. Obviously, Bruno Fernandes is a better option than Sean Longstaff. Because obviously, he's more experience. But like I said, in that midfield, we've got Fred. He's, I don't know if he's a long-term solution. You've got Tominway. He's too inexperienced at the moment. We've got Matic. He isn't getting any younger. And he's getting old now. He's Matic, and he's too slow. He's too ineffective in that midfield. And I believe he shouldn't be at Manchester United, but we do believe he's going to be here. Going on into this season. Yeah. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do consider subscribe to the channel as always. And we do have Perth Glory tomorrow, 12 o'clock kickoff. I do believe more things will update going on into that game. And so yeah, anyway, that's everything. So see you later. God bless, and see you all again very, very soon.